Hello, 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 and welcome to episode 3 of the Polished Lifestyle TV. I'm so happy to have my guest, Mrs. Amara Berry, here with us today, who is just 20 years old but is rocking out her life by leading and shining bright and doing so many amazing things. She can teach us 30-year-olds and 40-year-olds and 50-year-olds how to do it. So I'm so happy to have her here. Welcome, Amara.
Thank you so much for having me. I'm so excited.
Oh, you're welcome. You're welcome. So I'm going to ask you to do something. Just pull the phone back a little bit from your face so we can see your full face. There you go.
Here we go.
Awesome. Can everybody see her great and hear her? Let us know in the chat box.
Yeah, if you can't hear me, I'll project a little more. It's too bad there aren't any filters for this.
No filters. I know you just came from work, so it's okay. So here goes the bio of the young lady we have with us today. She is 20 years old, studying physics philosophy at Brown University. She's originally from Los Angeles, California.
Yep.
As the 2016 Miss Rhode Island World, she's thrilled to win the national category of Beauty with a Purpose, the category that highlights each participant's community service platform. Her project of Camp Sparkle stands for Science, Projects, Art, and Robotics for Kids to Learn Everywhere. It's an educational nonprofit here in Providence. So with that, I want to say welcome. She is studying at Brown University on top of everything else she's doing.
I'm happy to be here. It's been a cool time.
Awesome. So Amara, can you tell us a little bit before we get started? Can you tell us a little bit about the Sparkle program and what really inspired you to get started with that?
Yes, absolutely. So when I was 6 years old, I wanted to be a scientist. I actually wanted to be an inventor like Tommy Pickles' dad from the Rugrats. And my grandfather, so I just loved taking things apart, putting them back together, trying to make inventions. And it drove my mom crazy a little bit. I know that we went through 3 vacuum cleaners in a year one time because I just kept taking them apart and trying to put them back together. I didn't have any role models for what I wanted to do. There were no Black women scientists, inventors, engineers that I could see in the media, that I could see just in my daily life. My grandfather was the first African-American engineering graduate from the University of Texas. And the same year that my grandmother did her degree, she was the first Black woman to get hers in microbiology. And they always told me that scientists are not actually smarter than average. They're just people who are willing to put in more time and more work and more effort. And of course, that effort pays off when you get to be the hero who finds a cure to something, who solves a major global problem. Yeah. So I thought about starting Sparkle as a way of making sure that minority young women had role models that were doing things that were a little bit different from what we usually see Black women doing in the media, women of color in the media. It was a program that we originally started on the south side of Providence, and our goal is to reach kids living below the poverty line, kids who are underrepresented in the sciences. And we had a lot of scientists from Brown contribute college-level curricula that we just teach at a much slower pace. Hopefully with the extra practice, the kids are going to start having the skills that'll make them stand out to their teachers in high school and beyond. And they'll have kind of a solid framework, a solid foundation for pursuing science careers after that.
That is awesome. I totally, being an educator, I love the fact that you said you did not see people growing up, other than your grandparents, but in the field doing the things that you wanted to do. So you said, hey, I'm going to be that example. I'm going to be the lead in this. And so that's so awesome that at your age, and forgive me if I keep talking about your age, but I think it's important for us to say that because many times people feel like they have to wait until they're 40 years old before they can really figure out what it is that they want to lead in. And even if down the road, if you change your mind, you still are making a major impact in the world at 20. So that's absolutely awesome. So I want to ask you a question. What was there a time in your life where you felt like you weren't leading in your life. So you felt like other people's opinions mattered more than yours. And what was the turning point or the thing that happened that made you say, you know what, I can have control over this?
So I think that in order to get into a place like Brown, you have to be a person who cares about like external validation and like getting feedback and like just basically like being a good student, being a good daughter, doing the right thing enough so that you're disciplined enough to kind of get all those A's, get the perfect SAT score even when you don't feel like it. So I've always been a person who responded really well to positive feedback in that way and cared about kind of my, like what it looks like for me to achieve certain things. And when I started at Brown, I came to a point where I just like wasn't finishing my assignments. I wasn't really going to class. I was just not like being like, because the motivation from the outside wasn't there anymore. I was in college and I realized that the things that I was doing were not things that I actually wanted to be doing. So I took a year off and wound up teaching in Cranston at a homeschooling co-op. And I interacted with a lot of really just a range of different thinkers, a lot of younger kids that had a lot of interesting ideas. They were really curious. And I realized that actually what I wanted to do when I came back was pursue a degree in the sciences and also pursue teaching. And I had to kind of shut out all of the outside noise that was telling me that I had to take a certain set of courses and take a certain path and get a job at a certain company after, and strike out on my own and just take the risk that comes with striking out on your own. And it's great because the program is successful enough that it pays me a full-time salary. So actually when I graduate, I'll already have a job and I don't have to get hired at a company. But it was really scary for me to kind of take the risk that it was going to take.
Oh, she jumped out. It was getting so good. Oh, so we'll see. She probably lost reception, but did y'all hear that? Did you hear what she said? That what she created, this program that she created, when she took a year off of school, is now, as a college student, able to sustain her with a full-time salary, and that when she graduates, she does not have to go and look for a job because she has already created her job. She has already created a business, which is actually a service to the world, a nonprofit organization that is serving other people, but also in the meantime, being able to sustain her life. That is just amazing. I'm going to check on her. That's what you call boss moves. Exactly. Sister girl is 20 years old. I'm saying this because all week we've been talking about people not seeing people that look like they're doing amazing things. And I want to encourage our young women, especially our young women of color, that listen, if there's no room for you at the table, if things are not feeling like they're going your way, you need to create and slay, because Sister Girl is slaying right now. All right, so let me call her and see. I think I'm going to pause the recording.
Okay.
Awesome.
So the long story short is that I had to let go of the idea that there was going to be a set plan for my success, even though I had invested so much in it, and I had to follow what was going to make me come back every day and continue working on it. And, make me want to continue to do my homework and keep coming back to class and want to go to work. And I feel like it really was the key to thriving, because I get to study something I love, and then I get to teach it to kids, which is what I love, and I get paid for it.
That is awesome. So I have a question for you. So I was saying, you're 20 years old. I'm not sure if your parents were paying for you to go to college, if you were on scholarship or whatever, but what did your parents think about, or outside people think about that decision for you to take a year off and lead the way you wanted to lead in your life?
So I think more than anything, they were surprised, because they don't push me that hard. They always supported me. But I've always pushed myself really hard. So
okay.
The idea that I was going to take a break from school, I don't think it even occurred to them to be like upset or nervous about it. I wasn't like a flight risk. Like they knew I was going to come back. They knew I was going to finish my degree. They knew that that was still my goal and my plan for myself, and probably that it was a serious decision if I was making it to take some time away. They're really supportive. And
that is awesome.
I didn't feel like I lost any time. You know, graduating in 5 years versus 4 is just not that big a deal in the scheme of things. I think it was one of the most important years, especially because a lot of millennials get criticized for not having life experience or for not being mature enough. And it's because you go straight from school to college where you're coddled in a totally different way. And then you're expected to work. And so you never get a chance to learn that life experience until after. And by then you're in your 20s, your mid 20s, and you're expected to already know those things.
Awesome. So I have a question for you.
Yeah.
What is one tip that you would give one tip that you would give us, but one tip that you would give to your younger self? So maybe to your 16-year-old self, and then what is one tip you would give to an older woman?
Sure. So I would say to my younger self to erase the plan. I have always been obsessed with making plans for things and just set trajectories. And then, of course, it ruffles my feathers when they don't go well. And if you look back on those plans, they almost never go well. So definitely erase the plan, erase the template, and just go with the flow a little bit more. That's a little bit harder to do when you haven't experienced life, or maybe when you're kind of type A like me. And I think it's hard when you're younger because you don't know for a fact that things are going to work out because you haven't seen them work out. A tip for older people, my goodness, I don't even know if it's my place.
It's fine, girl. It's your place right now.
I think it would probably be to cut millennials some slack. We're inheriting one of the worst economies ever, one of the worst job markets ever, and we followed the plan, which was to go to college. We're in all of this debt, and you know, we're encountering something that actually wasn't in the plan, which is a totally different work climate. It's a totally different job market. Cut us some slack. We're trying really hard. We're a little bit too sarcastic, yes, but we're doing our best.
I love that. Listen, you said we followed the plan. Girl. For everybody out there listening, do you hear her? We followed the plan. Right. We went to school, got our bachelors, got our masters, and yet no one's trying to pay us what we deserve, what we're worth.
Yeah.
All this debt. Absolutely. Thank you. The plan. LOL. Exactly. So we have to create our own and slay. That's one of the things. I have a fellow alumna from the school I graduated from, my high school, and she wrote a book she's an older woman, and she wrote a book on how to engage millennials in the workspace.
Yeah.
And that's one of the things she was saying. She said these young people are bringing amazing things to the table, working with a situation that isn't really ideal.
Right. It's true.
You know, so it's amazing.
I'd say millennials are a very resilient group. And it's, you're seeing all of these new apps and all of these new inventions and startups from people who can't get jobs at the companies that they thought they might work at one day. And so that's cool, too, to tell kids in my program that we don't necessarily know what they're going to be when they grow up, because that company might not exist yet, or they might invent their own thing that they're going to wind up feeling passionately about. It opens up a whole new realm of possibilities.
Absolutely. So in our audience, Claudia said the plan got interrupted by a life-threatening disease, stopped me in my tracks, so that entrepreneurship took over. Absolutely. Yeah. And that's the other piece that we I think we forget about, especially in some of these business schools or just in general. We forget that our lives don't always go by a particular plan. Right. And we can make all the plans in the world, and something like sickness can stop you in your tracks. And most jobs don't even want to pay people's regular insurance, and you get a disease and they're ready to cut you off. I know people who have worked at places for 15, 20 years, they get cancer or something, and guess what? oh, we can't hold your job, and they're done.
Yeah.
So for everybody out there, I'm not saying everybody needs to be an entrepreneur, but I'm saying everybody needs to be an entrepreneur and have a side hustle and have something that they're creating for themselves and for their legacy. Because the other thing is, people, you cannot will your job to your children.
No.
You cannot like 401k is about to be a joke. Social Security is about to be a joke for many people. So if you are not creating your way, I'm really nervous for you.
No, it's true. You've got to have plans in place because companies fire people all the time. And sorry, 1 second.
Yes, no problem.
Bye. Companies fire people all the time, and layoffs are so common right now. And the thing about working at a corporation is their job is to ensure their own bottom line. We're losing jobs to foreign labor every single day. So you don't get to just work at a company and have a stable job because you went to college, work your way up. Those things just are not guaranteed anymore. The only thing you can guarantee is your own hard work.
Absolutely. Dropping nuggets and bombs. Thank you. Thank you. All right. So you gave us a tip. Can you let us know one quote that has inspired you? And when you're feeling at your worst or just like, oh, what am I doing with my life? What is one quote that really, or a saying that really inspires you to keep going?
So my excuse me. My grandmother used to say, hard work beats talent when talent doesn't work hard. And her point was that you don't actually have to be naturally talented at anything. You have to be ready to work hard at it. And she is like the definition of hard work. She's the first Black woman to get her microbiology degree from the University of Texas. There was no template for what she did. No one had done it. She had no role model. She had no map. In fact, she didn't even have things like notes from people who had taken the course before because none of the white students were going to share them with her. And she just worked her butt off and just spent the extra hours in. And it took a toll on her personally in a lot of ways, but she was able to accomplish it kind of against all odds. She's a marathon, the LA Marathon. She's a legacy runner for it. She's in her 70s. She's just a person who's just like the definition of mind over matter. So sometimes, I'll tell her about struggles I'm having or struggles I think I'm having as a millennial or as a college student, and she'll kind of gently remind me of the things she went through when she was my age, and it just keeps me grounded in the fact that you can usually suffer a little bit in order to achieve most things.
Awesome. I love it. There's purpose in your pain. Purpose in your pain. Absolutely. So, Amara, can you let us know one book that you would recommend? But before that, I wanted to say something. One of the reasons why I created this platform was because I wanted people, young women, older women of color, to understand that we are here and we are doing it for them, if you get what I'm saying. I understand that you can't be what you don't see. And I just think about your grandmother and how, because you saw her, because she was in your life, by default, you were going to be awesome because you saw her doing amazing things. Many young people don't have that. Many young people don't see someone in their life that's doing amazing things. So this is why I created this platform, because I want to make sure that we are the example. We are showing people that, listen, it could be done. It could be done at any age. It could be done with any skin color. It can be done.
Exactly.
So thank you.
I think that it's so important. I mean, it didn't occur to me ever that Black people couldn't be scientists because my grandparents were scientists. Of course they could. And I was really lucky to have had those role models. And I don't know that I would have pursued it. Even as a woman in science, it's really hard to get the encouragement that it takes to really finish a degree. And sometimes even your professors don't believe in you, or they don't realize that they're being biased, but they're not giving you the same fellowships, the same research opportunities that other students are getting. So I agree. I think it's so important to start creating images, and that's, having your own media production is another example of the ways in which millennials are changing the script. You're just creating it. You're putting those role models out there because we can't wait forever to see them show up on other platforms because they may never show up.
Exactly.
Wait
We'll
a
be
long
waiting.
time. uh,
To bring in a little bit of politics, but when you as a person of color, as a black woman, stands up and says something amazing, they don't pay attention to it. But when Mrs. Trump says the same thing that you said, then everybody gives her claps.
Oh my gosh. I mean, first of all, I was reading an astrophysicist calculated that there is a 1 in 87 billion % chance that a 1 in 87 billion chance that she actually just randomly came up with those words and it wasn't direct plagiarism, statistically speaking, by the number of words we use. So 1 in 87 billion, I mean, she was either really, really unlucky with those odds or she plagiarized.
And we know, I was saying earlier that we know that many politicians or people in her position get their speeches written by other people. So they copied that and gave it to her. She just shouldn't have lied.
Her writing career ended today, and hopefully they're also very entrepreneurial and have another thing up their sleeve, like a book deal or something, because they're not working. At that point.
Absolutely. So what is one book that you would recommend?
So one book that I recommend to other women, and it's not actually about Black women, but it's by Lisa Genova. She is from Cambridge, and all of her books take place in the Boston area in New England. She's a neuroscientist who writes books about people with different like neurological disorders, and she writes it from their perspective. So you get a better sense of, and it's fiction, because I read a lot of fiction because, I've got to read like all of these papers all the time and a lot of really dense, boring stuff. And I like to take my time reading for fun. So the book is called Left Neglected, and it's about a woman who gets into a car crash and winds up with left neglect. So she can't see the left side. Anything that like her left eye sees, her brain doesn't register, even though her vision is fine. So her vision is impaired. She's not able to walk around. She suddenly, she's this very, very fast-paced, like executive at I think an investment firm, and suddenly she's totally dependent on her husband and mom to just be able to get around. And it's about embracing her life with a different ability, and about like kind of learning how to change the pace of her life and how it doesn't actually indicate that she's weaker or less successful, and she really has a hard time with it. I think that one, it brought into focus for me like the quickness with which your life can change based on something that you have no control over, like an accident, and how your self-worth really can't rely on your accomplishments or your ability to carry out accomplishments, especially if those are also reliant on your ability, the way your brain works, all of these other things. And it just as a side note, it's a very interesting read. And Lisa Genova, all of her protagonists, except for one, I think, are successful women in New England. So, it's fun to read things that take place nearby and that, with landmark sites, all these things, especially because I'm not a native New Englander. I'm from California originally.
Okay. That's an awesome book. And I love that you said you cannot tie your successes and your accomplishments to your self-worth. And we just talked about this last week with our other guest, who was also a part of beauty pageants. She was the first bald beauty queen. And yes, so you have to catch that episode. But she talked about that, not tying your successes to your self-worth, because anything can happen. Anything can come and be stripped away from you. And same thing with your beauty. And for her, it was her hair. As women, our hair is like our crown, our glory, our everything. And she had alopecia areata, and she lost hair on her face, on her head, and she had to rebuild herself and rebuild her self-esteem. So we have to remember that no matter how successful we become, we have to remember that we're always worthy. We are just amazing beings, and we're children of God. We cannot tie it to something that we did outside of ourselves. So thank you for that book, and definitely I need to if you can, I don't know if you could type on your phone, but you will let me know and I will put it in the show notes so our guests, our listeners can look up
Yes,
that book.
absolutely. And that's interesting in pageantry when you think about your self-worth, because you're standing on a stage and letting 14 strangers rank you 1 to 10. You have no idea like what they're going to do or say or
Yes.
think, you know, what their personal biases or experiences are. I've had some interesting experiences since I came back from Miss World America this last week, with the topic, like the topic of the week on pageant message boards is how the only reason I didn't win a higher title or rank higher is because I'm not that attractive. Like literally, like, so there were 3 different message threads from random strangers, probably girls that lost or ranked below me or their moms or something, just being like, well, she was great, but she's just not that attractive. That's why she didn't win. And there's so many factors to what we would consider facially attractive. And it's so interesting. Like if we were in a different country, there's a lot Ethiopian in my family. If I were in Ethiopia, I would be considered attractive because the features that I have are like the blonde white girl of Ethiopia. But here in America, like I have to almost like apologize for, I don't know, the way my face is shaped, which isn't even a thing I can control. So
that is,
yeah, you get to tie your self-worth to something like that. And then somebody in Rhode Island even commented on the Camp Sparkle Facebook page that I wasn't even attractive, which wouldn't have even crossed my mind in general if it hadn't already been for like a group of other strangers saying the same thing. So maybe that's like going to be my new achievement, that I can win pageants even though I'm not even that attractive.
I love how you make light of that, and I'm so happy you're able to do that, because you know we need to do a show on bullying and adult bullying, because we talk about it in the schools and things like that, but because we have people who can hide behind a screen, who can hide behind putting fake pictures up of them that are not of themselves, they can write mean stuff to people, because how dare you write that about someone? Like, people are like, that blows my mind that that's even a thing. But you know what? You are amazing. You are beautiful. And what that person who was writing that to needs to understand that here you are rocking out your life, and they need to go and rock out their life. You are doing amazing things to impact people at such a young age, and that's what's important. And we could care less. So social media bullying is crazy. Yes.
Who has time for someone like that anyway? Like I mean, if you're gonna say that, you should have to post your headshot first. We'll compare.
Absolutely. That should be a requirement. I think something we should really start a petition, so on social media sites, since we know they have face recognition, that you cannot sign up for a site unless you show your real face. Because maybe people will stop being so mean and so horrible to the people, because it's so uncalled for. Hi, Matt. Thank you for joining us tonight. So, Amara, I wanted to ask you, what is it that you are working on right now that you want to tell us about with the pageant? I know you have a hashtag, something special with a hashtag going on. And also tell us a little more about Sparkle and how our guests can follow you and be engaged in what you're doing.
So Miss World is the oldest and largest international beauty pageant. It has 7 areas of competition: Oxford style debate, interview, 2 runway competitions, evening gown competition, Beauty with a Purpose, which is your personal platform, and a social media component. Oh no, and a sports challenge. So Miss World is special. It's different from other pageants. There's no swimsuit competition. They took it out and they replaced it with a fitness competition, a literal fitness competition. Last year it was a track meet. This year it was a Spartan race, which was an obstacle course, push-ups, sit-ups, and squats. And, you know, the girl who does the most wins, which is, I think, a lot better way of evaluating your fitness than putting you in a swimsuit on a stage. Not that there's anything wrong with that if you find it to be empowering. So I won the category for Beauty with a Purpose. I'm the national winner for that, which means that I get to do a national media tour about Sparkle and the importance of science education and diversity in STEM. So I'm going to be spending the next year visiting a lot of nonprofits in the area and all across the country. I'll be in Silicon Valley in September. I get to go to the Googleplex talking to people about how important it is about to put money and time into increasing efforts for bringing diversity into the sciences. We're really well aware that, you know, the people who are going to be curing our diseases and ending our wars can't all come from the same background, because your perspective and your experience really influences the type of research you're able to do. So you've got to make access to those resources on an equal playing field. So I'm really excited to get to do that and be the National Beauty with a Purpose spokesperson for the year. And I think that's going to affect Sparkle in a lot of ways too. We've got 5 sessions left. This week we're doing chemistry. Next week we're doing astrophysics. The week after is robotics. Then we're doing environmental science. And what's the last session? I think we're doing biology. And so, you know, we get to focus for the rest of the summer on making sure that the kids learn as much as possible and building our strategic plan. In the school year, we're doing Saturday physics workshops and maybe an after school club, but we're not sure as a staff yet if we have enough work, if we have enough resources and materials prepared to teach it after school every day. But we're excited to watch the program grow, and we're excited to get new families every year and just see like a replicable curriculum that we can start bringing to other schools and sharing with other nonprofits that do the same work. And then what was the third part of that question?
That is awesome. Oh. How can people find you? So like if someone wanted to donate to Sparkle, how can they donate? And also how can they follow you like on social media?
Yeah, my handle is Amara Berry, AMARABERRY. That's Instagram and Twitter, which is probably the fastest way to get to me. Our website is campsparkleri.com, and there's a donation link there. Our annual fundraiser is going to be at the Biltmore in September. We haven't started ticket sales yet, but I'll send the link to you as soon as we do. It might be around the middle of next week that we start. We just have to confirm like a couple of guests that are going to be joining us. No, we're a registered 501c3,
awesome.
So any contribution people make to us is tax deductible and makes a huge difference for the resources we can provide to kids. So we're always really grateful for those. And getting involved with Sparkle, we're always looking for volunteers or people interested in teaching. It doesn't have to be science focused at all. We work on life skills, we do arts, and sometimes there's someone who's just got an interesting other type of skill like auto mechanics or something, and they come talk to the kids, and it's always interesting to keep our program fresh like that. So they can contact me on social media or through our website. That's the fastest way to keep updated on how the program is doing.
Awesome. So I see Elke. I'm going to let you in the seat. Yeah. Join the seat. She had a question for you. Amara, that is awesome. And, you know, I want to connect you with my old school. So Tez introduced us. And so at the school I used to work at, we have an awesome robotics program. And we're always looking for, hi, Rashim. We're always looking for, listen, you have to connect with Rashim. She is like a nonprofit guru. And teaches you about grant writing and everything. So you two need to connect. Rashid, I hope you watch the replay. This young woman is amazing. She took a year off of school to start her nonprofit. And now that nonprofit sustains her living. And when she graduates from university, she's going to be able to, she has her own job. She has her own business and nonprofit. So I think this would be a great connection for the two of you to get together. But what I was saying, Amara, I want to make sure I connect you locally to my old high school, because they have an awesome STEM program and it's an all-girl school, and they want young women to see women in science doing amazing things. So we will make that connection offline, but definitely connect with Rashim. She is awesome. She's out of the Baltimore area, I believe, or DC.
Really soon
but
to
definitely,
so that's perfect. We can connect in person then and online before that.
Yes, absolutely. Make sure you have lunch.
Like, here's to the ladies who lunch. That's me.
Yes. Yes. Elkie, if you would like to jump in, come on.
What was the question? Was about how many students do we serve? So we have. So I like to keep the cohort small. It's never more than 20 kids at a time. This summer we've really had about 10 to 12 kids at a time, and then 3 to 5 staffers, which was really a tough decision because we got 300 applications from families this summer to join us. And we had to be really careful about finding kids that, and this was never about discriminating against any kids, but we really wanted to make sure that the program was highlighting kids who might not get that extra encouragement in the lab or in the classroom, you know, as soon as they graduate. So Absolutely. One thing I'd love to do when I graduate from Brown and can focus all of my time on developing the program is make sure that we have locations at other schools. And, you know, the number one reason why startups fail is they expand too quickly. So the biggest piece of advice, the most important piece of advice I think I've gotten in the few years we've run is to not take the bait and go to a bunch of different schools right now, just because it's better to go slow and play it safe, even though there's a lot of interest in all of these things. So that's been a little bit difficult for me because I want to just like keep going, but those opportunities will still be there and will still be a good program in a few years.
Absolutely, absolutely. Hi. So Elkie, come on in. I know you said you had
something to say. I would just like to say, I am.
I think you're frozen. I
can see ya. I don't know.
You can hear me? Can you hear me?
She's not moving. I don't know if it's me.
You can hear me? You can hear me, Amara? Okay. So I just want to say you did an awesome job. I'm so impressed by you.
Okay, oh my God.
I really am. Considering how young you are, you have the ability to
let's see.
A nonprofit.
I'm going to do it and she'll come. I'll let her come back in.
I think I wrote...
I think I kicked her out. Okay, she'll be back in. Okay, there you go.
I
Amara, I kicked you out, honey. Sorry.
I know. It was a cliffhanger too. I was gonna say that I'm 22. I think I wrote 20 by accident. Which is funny because in pageantry at 24 you're too old to do anything anymore, so like it's actually a lot closer to that than I feel these years of eligibility left, but I'm almost like old. I'm almost considered too old. Yeah.
They're about to give it a boot.
And it's funny in modeling that I've been switching from like getting to do magazine like editorial stuff to like seatbelt ads, like bridal, like I'm just old.
You know, that's kind of weird because I guess the only people that need clothes and fashion are people who are like 12 to 18. I guess that's the only people who need stuff. Crazy. So Elkie, Amara, I think she's
everybody froze. Hear me?
Elkie, go ahead and ask your question.
Yeah, I don't seem frozen on my end. I don't know why it keeps freezing, but I'm just gonna say.
I can hear you, but I can't see. But I can.
Elkie, we can't hear you.
Go for it.
No, I was gonna say I'm really impressed by your work in.
If you can hear me, it said make sure your connection isn't blocked by a firewall.
Yeah, I can see both you and Sterling hear you.
Oh, okay.
I'm not sure what's going on.
I can hear you. I can't see you, but that's okay.
So I'm gonna wait for these young ladies to come back in.
Hey, so no, I was just gonna say I'm really impressed by.
But what an awesome conversation. Awesome conversation.
Sterling, can you see me?
I'm going to let them come back in. While we wait for the ladies to come back in, do you have any questions? Claudia, should I refresh?
living just like the competition. Hi. I'm almost done. Thank you for letting me start.
Okay. Okay, we're going to get this question in today.
Oh my golly.
This is supposed to be the best part, and you know what? It's acting up, so it means it's only going to get better.
Can you hear and see me now?
I can. Can you hear and see me?
Yes, I can. I can see. I've been seeing you both and hearing you. I don't know what's going on.
I was fine. Yeah, I was hearing you.
Yeah, it's weird.
Sterling.
So, as someone who worked in a nonprofit in Providence.
Okay, so go ahead. Claudia was saying stay in one spot for a little bit and let it connect to the internet. Okay. And then we'll see.
We did? No, I can still see her.
And now
I'm still here.
Elkie.
Yeah.
Can you hear her? Okay, Elkie, ask your question. I can't see you, but ask your question to Amara.
Wait a second, because me and Amara can hear each other. So I was saying, as someone who worked in a nonprofit in Rhode Island for many years, I'm really.
You know, when you're like a little girl, you don't grow up thinking like, I'm gonna have a nonprofit, an educational nonprofit.
Right.
Right. So.
Who wakes up like that?
My mom works in nonprofits. She works for the California Endowment and Community Partners. She helps like foster social justice nonprofits, and that's so starting nonprofits has been her whole career. And I'll put her on the spot a little bit by saying that one thing she always told us as kids is to never go into nonprofit work. There's never enough money. You're never going to be happy. I love you girls. Like, I don't want you to do that.
Right,
so
right. No, you're right. You're right. And it's hard work to be a mentor when there's a lack of mentors, because you then you shoulder a lot of responsibility. And so you definitely need to support yourself. And I hope you're getting that. I hope you're getting the support you need so that you're getting fed as well as you're feeding others. Because, you know, you got a lot to shoulder, and I hope you're getting the care too. I worry about the person providing the care. That's my thought automatically. Like, okay, I hope they're getting their care too. So
yeah. Well, so I try to do certain things, even with the program the way it runs. I take Fridays off, and we have an extra staffer just because. And I try not to spend, you know, like it's especially as a younger director, you know, boundaries with the parents are really important. So. Making sure that I don't, without realizing it, because I'm less experienced, like create a situation in which they get to have unrealistic expectations of me and of the program. That's been something I've learned that's been really important. But yeah, for the most part, I sometimes take a reduced course load around their semesters when I don't take full courses, and it'll take me longer to graduate because of that. But I found my passion. I can't let it go. And, this is just the way it's going to be.
Absolutely. Well, congrats.
Thank you.
Awesome job. Keep doing what you're doing. I look forward to hearing more great stuff coming out of the program. And I hope one day when I'm back in Rhode Island to come and see it in action. So
definitely come visit us while we make things explode and take things apart. And
I'd love to bring my daughter by. She's 9. She's 9. She's going to be 10. So I'd love for her to come and see it.
Yeah, that's our crew. Like, those are our people.
That's the age group. Oh, awesome.
Yeah.
Awesome.
I would love that.
So I think Stone is coming back. Stone, you can hear us now?
Yeah, I'm back. So that whole time I can hear and see you all, but you all couldn't see me. But if no one else has a question, I would like to wrap up the recording, and then we can kind of stay on and just chat for a little bit. But if no one else has a question, I'll wait like 30 seconds. And then we can
I'm actually gonna go,
and then I'll stop the recording, and then we'll go ahead.
Sorry. Okay. Thank you, Sterling. Thank you, Amara. This is awesome.
Take care.
So I would like to thank you for joining us for Polished Lifestyle TV, episode 3. We had a little bit of technical difficulties, but it's okay. Technology is not always in our control. And we're so happy to have Miss Amara Berry here. You can find her on Instagram and Twitter and Facebook as Amara Berry. And her program is the Sparkle Program. We thank you for joining us tonight. If you are watching the recording, make sure you stay connected to us through the Polished Lifestyle community. That's my community where I encourage, support, and teach women how to lead and shine bright in all areas of their life. You can find me at bit.ly/PLC Tribe. That's bit.ly/PLC Tribe. Or if you go into Facebook, type in the Polished Lifestyle community. I look forward to seeing you here next week, same time, same day, 8 p.m. on Tuesday with our next guest. I hope you have a blessed week, and I'll talk to you soon. God bless.
Thank you.